Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and we're gonna be carrying on our series. And if you guys didn't watch the last episode, what we did here is that we just started to set up our zoom in and zoom out events. What we're actually gonna be doing now is to complete this step. But there's just one thing I want to do first, is that in a couple of tutorials ago, what we actually did here, we had set up our camera rotation to be like -60, and that was causing some weird behaviors in here, which is something that I don't really want that to happen. So what we're going to be doing instead, since our camera has free movements, then the player can look up and down, do whatever he wants. We're going to set this guy here back to 0, right? So everything goes back to normal. It doesn't have that weird effect anymore, right? And the next thing that we are going to do here is that we're going to go to our event graph. And what you guys are going to actually do here is we're gonna add begin event. And as you guys can see, we have something that already controls the camera, like camera input up and down. So I'm gonna actually use this add control pitch input. I'm gonna copy that, paste it in here. And when this starts, we're gonna give a default value of, let's say, 60, and let's see if that works. I think that's too much. Maybe let's put like 45. Let's see. Yeah, that's too much. Maybe 20. There you go. A little bit better. So the camera doesn't start like this. You always start it just facing kind of in an angle that we're looking for, like a 60-degree angle. RTS style. Right. With that in mind, we can just comment this and say change the camera starting point. You can also do something like, I don't know, delay, do that, and then after 2 seconds it will change that for you. But this is just for testing, so that's fine. Cool. Now this will change our camera inputs. So it's gonna leave right here. Now the next thing we're gonna do is to actually do that logic to create our camera controls, right? So what I'm gonna be doing here is that I am not 100% sure if this is the thing that is nice to do in games, is when like you're not sure if you're gonna be using this externally. For example, games like World of Warcraft, the Warcraft game, when you talk with the NPC, the camera zooms into the NPC. So you could actually probably do something like this. So we're gonna create here external API that we can reuse it instead of just locking everything by one thing. Right, so to do that, what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna create a custom event, and we're gonna call API increase zoom, right? Or zooming, whatever. I think the best name here would be zoom in. Nice. And let's do the zoom in first, and then we actually do the zoom out. Right, so to do the zoom in first, we're gonna be actually playing here with the relative transform. So we're gonna be actually just changing this up and down, right? Up and down here. Right, so to do that, we're gonna go back to the event graph. Oh yeah, sorry, I think I was on the wrong thing. So what I was doing here is basically what I was meaning, it's just that we're gonna increase this thing here up and down, right? So that's how we're gonna change our camera performance here, our camera zooming and zoom out. Right, so to do that, let me just go back to the zoom here, and the next thing we're gonna do here is that, I think the other way is better. So we're gonna get a follow camera here. And the very first thing that you want to do here is to actually add some kind of a cap. Let's say I don't want the player to zoom too much or to zoom too low. And what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna get the relative location. And that's gonna be it. Cool. We're gonna split this structure. And the next thing that we are going to do here is that we're gonna do, is this the current zoom location less or equal than, now we need a variable, and let's create a variable called zoom limit, right? Or actually zoom in limit. And I'm gonna make sure it's public. I don't see any problems in making this variable public, to be fair. Now we're gonna give a very just a small value to this, so let's just put 800 for now. And let's start it now by creating the conditions. So what we need to do now is just a branch that if the value is less than that, less or equal than that, then we can actually apply some kind of a zoom. Right, to do the zoom here, we're gonna copy the follow camera here, or just drag and drop here. And we are going to get the relative location, right? And what we actually going to do here is that we're gonna do a plus, we're gonna add, and in here we're gonna probably just do times by actually add 100, or every time you press increase the zoom by 100, right? The zoom in. And now we can actually get our camera again, and we can call a node set relative location. Yes, that's the one. Cool. And now we're just gonna plug this in true. And now the value for the new location will be this. So we are not messing up with the X, Y, we only want to mess up with the Z axis. So if I go back to here, the Z axis is what controls up and down, right? Compile and save, cool. Now let's see if this works. So on the zoom in, let me just move this a little bit to the side. What we actually want to do here is, I think the best place to call that is, instead of completed, we're gonna call when it's triggered. I think that'll be a good example. Let's see. So now if I zoom in, actually it does something, but I'm not sure if that's the right. It does something weird here. So I think, let me have a look what is actually trying here, because it's not increasing the value properly. Set relative location, that is correct. Oh yes, because that's increasing the zoom. I don't want to increase the zoom. Yeah, I actually done this right. Anyway, the zoom is done. We're gonna go back to this in a second. We need to actually do the zoom out before, so we can actually see the thing decreasing. Right, so to do the zoom out, I'm gonna select the whole thing, and not that, of course. I'm gonna copy and paste this. I'm gonna create another event called custom, and I'm gonna call API, just called zoom out. And nice. So once that is done, we need to change a couple of things in here. So we need to reverse this logic, so it's going to be greater or equal than that, right? I'm going to plug this guy here, make sure the zoom out camera is that. We don't need this anymore. Now the next thing that we need to do here, instead of doing plus, we're just going to do minus or subtract, and we're going to do 100. And let's go back in here. Let's see if that works. So that should be everything set up. I'm gonna get the zoom out and zoom out here. I think I probably need to reverse those, but let's check how it works. So if I press the zoom out, why is that not working? Let's check if it's actually being triggered. Zoom out. I'm gonna just do a print and call hello. Let's see if that works. So something is catching on here. Well, I'm gonna remove this cap for now, and let's just double check if our logic works properly. So yeah, as you can see, it goes up and it goes down, right? So I think that's quite cool. So that increased the zoom. The only problem that I see is that if I'm facing this direction, it doesn't actually works really well. So what we need to find here is a way to actually decrease not the camera but the boom. So we need to actually decrease this up and down. So let's do that. So instead of decreasing the camera, we're gonna change this to what is it, the camera boom here. So I'm gonna change to that here. Everything should be the same, it's just that we're gonna change this guy to the camera boom because we don't wanna mess up the range of the camera. We only wanna mess up the camera, you know, the boom of that. So I'm just gonna put it here. Let's change to that. Let's see what's gonna happen. So if I am facing the wrong directions, I still can go up and down, which is good. But the camera, it doesn't, as you can see, I can face zoom in, zoom out, but it doesn't go weird, in a weird direction. Let's go back here so I can up and down. Now I think the only thing I want to do here is just change the controls here, and that will be changed here because I think, I mean, you can change the control. Actually, let's do it on the other way. And this is where it, you know, it's more up to you guys how you want to set this up. But in here, I'm gonna, for the zoom in, I'm gonna do mouse wheel down, and this is gonna be mouse wheel up. And now I should be able to increase and decrease. Now what we need to do here is to add some kind of a cap so it doesn't go under, right? So to do that cap, let's check this back here. So I think we have the one to the zoom in. Yeah, it has like a limit, but the zoom out doesn't have a limit. So let's check why we can't actually use that limit. So I'm just gonna do a print, and I'm gonna check before I can actually plug this here, what's our current Z location. So if I do, that's 0, right? So it doesn't have a current location. So how does it not know how to zoom in or zoom out? That's because he's using the wrong one. I need to use the camera boom here. Just gonna plug this here. Let's see if that works. Right, as you can see, let's see, our limit will be 900. Yeah, 900 sounds good. So if I go back to here and change this value to, let's say, I think 800 is fine. Let's see if that works. That's still not, oh yes, that is because, and I forgot about this, we need to change this value here to ABS, which is absolute value. So the problem that's happening here, guys, and I'm just gonna explain what's the problem. So as you can see here, if I press play, the value gets, oh, let me just remove this condition here. You see that you have like a negative value, and the problem is that we are comparing a zoom limit, which is a positive value, and it doesn't know what to do with it. So what we're gonna need to do here is just basically cast whatever is the output of this to absolute value, which means that we'll convert the value to a positive value. So if it's a negative, will become positive. For this example, it doesn't matter. We only want a negative value so we can compare. And if I press play, it goes up and down. But the only problem here is I think that's still, I think I may have to invert this logic. Let me just test it to make sure that works. So here, now that's still not liking to do that. Let's check if this is working properly again. Right, so that's the zoom in. And I'm pretty much sure that works here. So I'm just running debugs. Hi guys, yeah, I'm just resuming the video here. Just found a couple of issues on our logic that I was trying to figure out why it wasn't working properly. So the first mistake that we did here is, let me just do a Control Z. So if you guys remember, we actually did a less or equals than the value. The problem with that is that if I zoom too much, I can't zoom back because this is falling to false and it doesn't know what to do with it. So what we're going to be doing here is just changing this to less. So less, instead of using less equal, we're just using less. We're going to plug this here. So if it's a less than the zoom limit, we can do all the zoom we want. And the next problem that we had, let me just align this properly, is in the zoom out, where we basically had something like that. We had like a greater or equal, which was the same problem. We want to make sure that we're just using greater, right? Let me just align this and make sure that using ABS. And now we have to make sure it's plugged on false. If you don't want to plug on false, all you can do here is something like a not boolean, for example. And you can just plug that here and change this pin to true, and just break this connection. I'm just gonna hold Alt and click, and that should conclude our zooming and out. And as you can see, we have a cap that doesn't allow us to zoom in or zoom out too much. So we still can move our character, and we can pretty much do all the RTS stuff. So we can go up and down, up and down. You can, do all sorts of zooms. But it doesn't have a cap, so you can actually, that's the max zoom and this is the minimum one. And the cool thing about this is that we have a variable for it, which is set up right here. Now what we're going to be doing here is that in the next video we're going to be actually creating settings data table for our RTS control, so we can actually use those settings in loading here. And then we can actually use in the future, if you want to create different presets, you can do that easily. So once again guys, thank you very much for watching, and I see you in the next one. Hi guys, yeah, welcome here. I just want to do a quick pause on this video. Just want to talk about our Discord channel. So if you guys didn't notice, we already have a Discord channel. Please check it up on the description of the video. Thank you very much.